Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto and Hinata trained together and a spark happened, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Nyoko had returned to find both her door and window wide open. Understandably shaken, she asked Tenten to stay the night with her, and the slender Kunoichi complied. Lee stood watch outside her door at Tenten's request. The remaining Konoha shinobi had gathered in the men's room with their prisoner. They all stood around the attractive teen, who sat with her legs folded under her, and her arms tied behind her at both the wrist and the thumb. She appeared unconcerned that she by her capture. Just who the heck are you ? Naruto demanded, and why were you in Nyoko's room ? The captured Kunoichi smiled gently at him, but did not answer. Her name is Kaidi Mizuno, Yugao said, she is a hunter nin from the Kirigakure. Both Shikamaru and Iruka blinked at this, recognizing the name. She wasn't wearing a hunter's mask, Choji noted, just a normal shinobi hood. She doesn't wear a mask, the violet-eyed woman told them, she is called the face, because she does not wear a mask. Her looks are her greatest weapon. She uses seduction and deception, and counts on her enemies underestimating her. Kaidi turned her attention to Yugao, staring concertedly at the purple-haired Jonin. She carefully examined the eldest Kunoichi's figure and stance, until finally a realization filled her face. Her eyes drifted to Yugao's right shoulder, and displayed mild surprise at finding it unmarked. The mist ninja smirked and looked down at the floor. But that doesn't explain why she is here, Ino said harshly, obviously still bearing a grudge. I suppose you could say it is both the same reason you are here, and the opposite reason. Their prisoner finally spoke, you are here to protect the daimyo's daughter, and I am here to capture the kidnapper. Which is a good thing for you. The hunter suddenly brought her arm back to the front of her body, the makeshift shackles falling to the floor. She rubbed her wrists to restore circulation, and gazed cannily at the leaf ninja. There doesn't seem to be any point in keeping this secret anymore. And it'll be better for all of us if you guys are prepared. So here's what I know. The leader of this group was one of ours, she told them, a missing nin from the hidden mist village. From what we have heard, he's been teaching the bandits he recruited basic ninjutsu and taijutsu. But that's not the worst of it. The real problem is who the rogue is. Although given the presence of Naruto Uzumaki, I guess it makes sense that the fourth and final of the broken swords would show up. The Konoha ninja all tensed at the revelation, except for Naruto, who looked lost. What do I have to do with this ? He could barely keep his voice down, and what's the broken swords ? It sounds like a rock band. Iruka sighed at the density of his student, before starting to explain, in the hidden mist village, there were 7 legendary swords, ancient weapons of such power that a unique fighting style was derived around each blade. In each generation, 7 jonin are chosen to wield these blades. They are known as the 7 swordsmen of the mist. Kaidi nodded, adding, but after Zabuza slaughtered his way to the rank of genin, the 11th Mizukage was able to start to change the direction of our village. He realized the senseless bloodshed was decreasing our numbers, and hurting our teamwork, but not producing stronger shinobi as was expected. Unfortunately, many of the old guard saw this as a betrayal, and many have left the village. Including 4 of the 7 swordsmen. In the bingo book, these minuscule criminals are referred to as the broken swords. She grinned mirthlessly or mercilessly at the blonde knucklehead, and Naruto here has already met Zabuza, Kisame, and Reiga. So it seems like fate, that when Bungiro finally showed his ugly mug, this guy would be around. Bungiro Egereru is master of Suhi, the sword whose blade is so cold it can freeze a small lake solid with barely a touch. It fits him, as he was called the coldest of the 7 swordsmen. Even Zabuza was disturbed by his ruthlessness and lack of emotion. She stood, stretching languidly, that's all I know. Do you intend to hold me ? Or can I go back to seeking my target ? Iruka looked at Yugao, who nodded. He looked at the potential ally. All right. The male jonin stepped away from the door, but we have removed your bug from Nyoko's room. If another one shows up. Whatever, she masked her annoyance. The mist Kunoichi looked at the female jonin again, and exited the room. Why are we letting her go? Ino asked. We shouldn't trust her. She is loyal to her village, particularly the current Mizukage, Yugao answered. The relationship between both our villages and our countries have been strong as of late, so it is unlikely she or her village are part of this plot. She is certainly withholding something, but we are more or less on the same side. Well, I don't trust her, the vain Kunoichi voiced. You don't like her, Ino, Sakura mocked. That's completely different. As the rivals started to argue, Yugao used the distraction to slip out of the room. As she expected, Kaidi was waiting. So, you left the Anbu Black Ops, Mizuno commented. Azuki nodded. I heard about Hayate. I am sorry, the beauty was genuinely sad. Is that why you quit? Partly, Yugao said softly, then quickly changed the subject. It took you longer than I expected to recognize me. That was 6 years ago. Kaidi was now slightly defensive, and unlike your boyfriend, I never saw you without your mask. Has it really been that long? The Leaf Kunoichi asked in surprise. You haven't changed one bit. Well, like you said, this is my greatest weapon. The Mist Ninja swept her hair back, showing pride in her appearance for the first time. The jutsu that stops me from aging may shorten my life, but it's worth it not to lose my edge or hide my age like certain other shinobi. So what didn't you tell us? Nothing relevant, I swear, Kaidi answered, and nothing you couldn't guess. Bungiro is hoping to use the incident to foster animosity between our countries. And he will use the ransom to finance his attempt to overthrow my father. Yugao nodded. She had suspected as much. I will keep you informed, if you'll do the same, the former Special Forces shinobi stated. I don't think that will be a problem. The girl looked back at the boy's door with interest. I plan to stay very close. Yugao sighed. If you have to play, could you stick to Shikamaru or Lee? Naruto, Choji, or Iruka would overcomplicate things. Really? Yugao groaned inward, wondering if she had made things worse. By the time she hit the beach the next morning, the princess was feeling much better. The hotel had formally apologized. The maid cleaning Nyoko's room had been called away for an emergency involving one of the other schools and 2 bottles of stolen sake. Or at least that was the story Shikamaru had concocted, and the hotel manager expertly conveyed. Unfortunately, her peace of mind was not shared by Konoha teens. Having learned what they faced, and how dangerous their enemy was, the shinobi were in no mood to enjoy their time at the beach. With 2 exceptions, one obvious and one notable. Naruto hit the beach with his normal enthusiasm. He was not the least bit reserved or worried. He snagged his rented surfboard and dove straight into the ocean. Nyoko and Lee quickly followed, though the taijutsu expert's enjoyment was forced. The blonde genin was able to catch a wave for a few seconds, before he pretended to lose his balance, and tumbled to the shore. The princess chuckled at his outrageous display, as did Sakura, but the rest were too busy, pretending they were happy, to laugh at his pain. What is wrong with you guys? Sakura hissed at her fellow kunoichi. Once Nyoko was out of range. Naruto's only putting on this show because all of you are in danger of blowing our cover. I know, Hinata countered, an edge of annoyance entering her depressed face. What's wrong with you? Ino asked sharply. We are facing an minuscule criminal. One with a sword that can disable or off with a scratch. Why aren't you more worried? First of all, if we include that Mist Hunter, there are 11 of us, and only 1 of him. If Iruka and Yugao help Kaidi fight this Bungiro, that leaves the 8 of us to handle his flunkies. And 2 Jonin and a Hunter Nin should be enough to handle almost any single ninja. Then Sakura nodded out at Naruto, and besides, we have a trump card. These broken swords have never won a battle where that knucklehead was present. He might just be some kind of good luck charm against them. And most importantly, Iruka joined the girls, leaning on his borrowed longboard. If the rest of you keep acting worried, Nyoko is going to figure out that something is wrong. Think about it this way, Sakura suggested, primarily to Ino, it is possible that Kaidi is wrong. In which case you'd be wasting this vacation for nothing. Tenten nodded, and the other 3 girls visibly unclenched. Iruka smiled slightly, proud of Sakura's leadership. Yugao finished her discussion with Choji and Shikamaru, who also appeared appeased. We forget sometimes, Iruka thought, that even though they are shinobi, they are little more than children. All 10 ninja and the princess were finally able to enjoy a morning in the surf. Ino and Nyoko had found matching swimsuits, black and white patterned sports tops and boy shorts. Still able to draw in the attention they desired, but not so brief to prevent them from joining their friends. Naruto was extremely happy when the others decided to go to a beachfront ramen shop for lunch. After scarfing down 2 bowls, he straightened up with a satisfied sigh. So, what are we going to do this afternoon? Naruto asked the others. I still want to make a sand castle, at least once. His teammates remembered the point he had made the previous day, and didn't laugh, but Nyoko rolled her eyes affectionately. Well, instead of a castle, you could do a sand sculpture of me, Kaidi purred, wrapping her arms tightly around Naruto as she suddenly appeared, pressing her stupendous chest firmly into his back. The blonde genin turned bright red, and the expressions of Hinata, Sakura, Ino, and Nyoko all changed, and none for the better. I don't think I could do you justice, Kaidi-san. Naruto's answer was strangely formal, and he struggled gently to escape. Kaidi ? Nyoko asked disdainfully. When did you learn her name? Naruto ? My CL is on the same floor as these guys, Kaidi answered, deftly preventing Uzumaki from breaking away, and when I saw Naruto-chan last night, I had to tell him how impressive his heroics were yesterday morning. Naruto-chan ? Sakura growled. But Hinata really scared Naruto. He had never seen such a cold, hard look on her face. How about volleyball ? Choji interjected, nervously trying to break the mood. Sounds great to me, Kaidi broke away, finally allowing Naruto to see that she too wore a more modest and function suit, though the mist kunoiki had on a one-piece, unlike her rivals. Naruto found himself, uncomfortably, on a team with Hinata, Sakura, Nyoko, and Kaidi. His 6th teammate became Yugao, when Shikamaru insisted Tenten and Yugao be split up. During the first match, however, he and Yugao seemed to be the only ones trying on their side. Kaidi and Nyoko were much more interested in bumping him than bumping the ball, while Sakura snarled and growled, and Hinata pretended she wasn't seeing what was happening. On top of that, Nyoko and Kaidi's admirers surrounded the court, staring daggers at the genin. I'm done, Naruto said, walking off the court after Iruka scored the final point of the disastrous match. What ? Sakura gaped. Naruto ? Hinata's mood shifted to confused. I don't mind if we play hard and lose. But 2 on 6 just isn't fair, it just isn't worth it. Hinata, Sakura, and Nyoko all looked chagrined. Kaidi regarded him through dead eyes, and after a moment, shrugged with a smirk. Alright, he relented, one more game. Sakura took the sphere, and stepped into the server's box. With excellent form, she jumped into the air, and smacked the ball between Lee and Shikamaru. The taijutsu expert lunged, and bumped the ball clumsily over the net, but still between Naruto and Kaidi. Mine, the kunoiki called it. Instead of using the chance to collide with Naruto, she instead set the ball perfectly for Nyoko. The princess showed off her own softs, precisely spiking the ball to the southwest corner, behind Ino. They scored 3 more points in quick succession. Now that their focus was on the game, Nyoko was obviously the most experienced player, and Kaidi was not holding back like the Leaf Ninja. Hinata proved to be a soft defensive player, and Sakura a pinpoint server. The 5th volley grew into a fierce battle, and the onlookers were no longer concentrating on the girls alone. Naruto set the ball for Nyoko, who leapt as if to spike it again. But at the apex, she suddenly tapped the ball sideways. The Mist Ninja also hopped up, striking the ball directly at Shikamaru. The quick-witted teen was not caught off guard, and knocked the ball back to his front line. Iruka propelled the ball into position for Tenten to attack. Hinata tried to dive for the orb as it descended between herself and Yugao. However, her right foot became entangled by the sand, and she fell to the earth with a sharp cry of pain. Hinata. Naruto quickly ran over to her. Are you okay? I'm fine, she turned over, grinning sheepishly. She brushed the sand off her face and chest, and then tried to stand. As she did, she winced again, and would have fallen had Naruto not been there. My ankle, she grimaced slightly. Sakura walked over, and knelt down to look. It's not broken, the doctor in training pronounced, at least, I don't think it's broken. But you probably pulled a muscle or sprained it. Let me help you. Naruto wrapped his arm around her and supported her as she hopped off the court. Lee, take my place, okay? As Naruto half carried Hinata off the court, the onlookers moved out of their way, happy Naruto was leaving. Kaidi's gaze shifted from the pair to Tenten with knowing amusement. But Nyoko just looked annoyed. Naruto set Hinata gently on the blanket, and then sat by her feet. He gave her injured joint his own examination, then started to gently massage her ankle. I'm sorry, Hinata, he told her. This isn't your fault, Naruto, she told him. That wasn't what I meant, he looked significantly in over at Nyoko and Kaidi. Oh. Hinata looked conflicted, that isn't your fault either, Naruto. And you don't owe me anything, she said quietly, if you like one off. No. Naruto said firmly, I need more than just a pretty face. You should already know that, although if you ever tell the pervy sage I said that, I'll deny it. And I do owe you a lot. He turned introspective, if I were to fall for someone, anyone, the least I would owe you is to tell you. She blushed, and nodded. The jealousy faded from her face, but her restored happiness still carried a small hint of doubt. Naruto moved to sit next to her and watch the game. As he sat, his hand accidentally brushed hers, and he quickly pulled away. Rock Lee was overjoyed to be on the same team as Sakura. And finally the teams were equal, and put on a good show for the onlookers. By the time they had completed the fifth and final match, it was time for dinner. Both Kaidi and Nyoko joined the Konoha ninja for the evening meal. The next morning, Naruto finally got his wish. Despite the fact it had taken Sakura less than 5 seconds to heal Hinata's ankle, they had wrapped it tightly in gauze to maintain their cover. With her mobility fictionally limited, she suggested she could help Naruto build his sand castle. Naruto excitedly took her up on her offer, but was slightly less impressed when Nyoko and Kaidi both decided to help. Shikamaru also decided to assist them. The rest of their teammates decided on a second day of surfing instead. So the next 3 days paired, Naruto trying to spend time with the injured Hinata, while Nyoko and Kaidi both stuck close to him. As this left Naruto and Hinata on perpetual guard duty, the other shinobi were free to do as they pleased. The 6th night, the next to last, was the night of the meteor shower. As twilight spread across the ocean, the various Klees set up observation posts. As the bodyguards set up the telescopes, Nyoko approached them. Mr. Yumino, can I borrow Naruto ? The princess asked. Can I ask why ? Iruka countered, confused. Our teacher gave us multiple options for our project. I've chosen to write poetry about the falling stars. And since Naruto plans to be a writer, I thought he might be able to help me. Fine, if he wants to. Naruto looked at his teachers, both of whom surreptitiously nodded. Then he looked over at Hinata. The girl smiled sadly, and she too nodded. Okay, sounds like fun. Naruto collected his bag, and followed the orange-haired beauty. Naruto, Iruka stopped him. The blonde boy turned back, and the Jonin said, I will expect to see your poetry as well. Naruto blanched slightly, and Ino Shikacho all chuckled at him. Sure thing, Iruka-sensei. She led him not back to her CL, but instead to a quiet spot at the edge of the forest, far from the hotel and the other Klees. As the space rocks began to streak across the sky, the pair began taking notes and talking about meter and rhyme. Naruto was not sure which surprised him more, how much she knew about poetry or how much he knew about poetry. As the astrological event ended, the other Klees began to drift back to the hotel. But Naruto and Nyoko remained outside, working on their sonnets. Naruto completed his 6th work, and then helped Nyoko with the rhyming scheme on her 5th. After she finished, they put away the notebooks. So Naruto, Nyoko's voice was coy, and even a little nervous, as Naruto offered her a hand to help her stand. How would you like to marry me ? The genin released her hand in surprise, and the girl almost fell. But the athletic noble caught herself, and finished standing. What ? Naruto stammered, but, I really like you, Naruto, she told him sincerely, you are straightforward, you treat me like a normal girl. You are brave, and kind, and cute. You might not love me, but you like me and you think I'm attractive. She looked down, I know I won't be allowed the chance to even find love, so I certainly won't be able to marry for it. But I think you would be acceptable to my father, and you're more than acceptable to me. Then she met his eyes with a mischievous twinkle in her green orbs. Besides, if you marry me, it would help you achieve your dream of becoming Hokage. How did you? I mean, that's crass. Even if I hadn't made Tenten during her first mission, she interrupted his thin denial, I would have recognized you right away. Naruto closed his mouth in shock. Then opened it again. She smiled at his surprise. Finally, he was able to string together words. You recognized me? ? How ? My father has taken his own interest in you, she explained. He receives briefings on all your missions, and your SOF reports twice yearly. A year ago, I started borrowing the older files. She looked at him intently. It makes for a very interesting read. Nyoko, I can't, he started to protest, but she cut him off again. Think about it, she argued, the leader of the Land of Fire and the leader of the Hidden Leaf Village would be a perfect political union. Our children will be incredible. In fact, her tone and expression became openly seductive. There is no reason to wait to start working on heirs. She loosened the ties on her yukata, letting it fall loose and display ample cleavage. Naruto froze, mesmerized by the display. He started to reach for her chest, then paused as if unsure. Nyoko took his hand and continued to guide it to her bosom. Just as his fingers were about to touch her, Naruto had a visionary flash. White eyes, angry, disappointed, and wet with tears. White eyes, excited, and proud. White eyes, crossed with pain, their light fading. Naruto gently, but quickly, pulled his hand away. What I am thinking, he laughed hollowly, if your dad ever found out, that would be the end of me. He turned away, and softly said, sorry, Nyoko. The girl sighed, and clinched her garment again. To be honest, I'm surprised you let it go that far. Then she stepped beside him, and waited for him to meet her eyes. But I was serious. I would be happy to marry you. Please, think about it. Before Naruto could respond, they heard a commotion from the hotel. One of the visiting students burst out of the front door, but as he tried to make his escape, 2 crossbow bolts emerged from the building. His leg impaled, the teen collapsed under his own weight. A large, familiar form emerged from the inn, and dragged the boy back in. Naruto grabbed Nyoko, and pulled her into the cover of the forest. Nyoko Honokit, a thick, gravelly voice emerged from the hotel's PA system. If you do not return to the hotel and surrender yourself to us, we will begin offing hostages. Starting with your friends and clemates. The princess looked at Naruto in surprise, and the ninja grimaced. The ambush occurred just as the students were sitting down to eat. The teens were too stunned and frightened to resist, though a few had tried to run. Both Jonin had prevented the Chunin from fighting back. Where is she? ? The mist rogue asked, remaining in the shadow. She ain't here, the giant from the first day answered. Her teacher says she went off alone before the meteor shower. Well, we'll have to bring her back. Keep the students from the fire country here. Move the other 5 clees to the locations we discussed, and be ready to execute the plan. As his minions began to move, he suddenly noticed something. Loosening the huge sword strapped to his back in anticipation, he interrupted his followers as they reached for one of the students. She stays too, he told them. Though his exact appearance remained hidden, his eyes seemed to narrow as he surveyed the girl. Kaidi Mizuno, the leader of the villains, pronounced, I am honored. Secure her. If she resists, we will start offing the Land of Water hostages. The hunter Nin remained stock still as they threw a bag over her head. Then, they brought out ninja manacles, solid cold forged iron gloves, designed to prevent a shinobi from making hand signs. Securing her hands behind her, they pushed her roughly to the floor. Nyoko Honokit, Bungiro's thick, gravelly voice emerged from the hotel's PA system. If you do not return to the hotel and surrender yourself to us, we will begin offing hostages. Starting with your friends and clemates. Iruka-sensei, what should we do? ? Sakura whispered. Nothing, yet. They have us outnumbered. If we were to fight, chances are the civilians would get hurt, especially the students they took away. Naruto is with Nyoko, Yuga reminded them, he will keep her safe. We wait as long as we can. Naruto, let me go. Nyoko struggled to break free. I can't let him off my clemates. No way, he held her gently, her arms pinned to her sides. If this guy is half as nasty as I read, he'll off all the hostages just to cover his tracks. And who knows what he'll do to you before he gets his ransom. One of his old buddies once suggested cutting off my legs so I couldn't run away. She seized up in fear, and then went limp. What do we do then? She turned to look at him when he finally released her. The blonde ninja's face crinkled in thought. Well, I guess plan A is out. Plan A? She considered that. You mean creating hundreds of shadow clones, and sending them to attack enemy? That's the one, he confirmed. So why not use it? The hostages. I don't know the enemy's numbers, or location, or anything. So starting a pitched battle would just put all the students at risk. Then he looked a little browbeaten. Besides, Iruka-sensei would lecture me and Sakura would probably sock me. Okay, then what about plan B? Improvise a new attack based on something I saw someone else do? He looked confused. I would need someone to fight first. Wait, you actually consider that your plan B? The princess almost let her jaw drop. I need more information about what's going on inside. He frowned slightly as he let the crack pee. I guess that means it's time for a little recon. He put his hands together, and announced, multi-shadow clone jutsu. A half-dozen copies sprang into being around them. Without waiting, each duplicate put his own hands together and said, transform. Where had stood 6 Naruto clones, there were now 6 little, white mice. The rodents all nodded to their progenitor, and scurried off to the hotel, far faster than normal mice. One more thing, he commented, weapon summon jutsu. His casual shirt stretched around his heart as the wooden box materialized. He removed the container, and withdrew the blades. After a second of terse consideration, he sent the box back to his room. He turned back to Nyoko, and handed her the red-wrapped and tailed dagger. Just in case, he told her gravely, and I want that back when this is over. It is important to me. She nodded and took the kunai. Now what? She asked nervously. The clones know that they have 10 minutes. Unless something else happens, we wait for their intel. The altered ninja scampered into the building. They squeezed under one of the side doors, entering the hotel near the kitchens. At the first branch, they split up, 3 going straight and 3 turning right. One of the groups encountered a rough-looking woman, carrying a large club. Like real mice, they scrambled towards the walls. But the mercenary did not notice them, and continued walking. One of the Naruto clones peeled off, following the criminal. The remaining 2 continued onwards, quickly reaching the pastry kitchen. Inside the pair found 7 of the marauders holding most of the hotel staff. They also recognized 2 of the crooks as members of the cleaning staff. Exchanging angry glances, the furry duplicates exited the makeshift prison. The other set of fake rodents found themselves in the lobby. Through the GL walls of the gift shop, they noted the group from the land of water. At 15 students and 2 students, they were 1 girl short, leaving the Narutos to wonder where Kaidi was. They split up from there, one heading into the east wing, another searching the west side of the lodge. The final copy went around the store towards the special purpose rooms, including the ballroom they had been using as a cafeteria-style dining hall. Naruto was briefly surprised to see all 3 Klees from the land of fire together. His shock lasted slightly longer when he recognized Kaidi bound and lying on the floor. He ran over to her, after a quick examination, determined she was unharmed. And ticklish. Unable to suppress a giggle when Naruto's tail brushed her, she attracted some unwanted attention. What's so funny, girl? The large bandit kicked her. Something touched my side, she admitted. Naruto darted away from her towards the wall. The rodent barely avoided a single-edged knife thrown at him. Just a rat, one of the kidnappers noted. I guess the cleaning crew wasn't quite up to snuff. The others laughed at this, except for Bungiro. He stared for a long time at where Naruto disappeared in a gap in wall. After a few minutes, he seemed satisfied, and returned his attention to his hostages and minions. Naruto watched also, until his opponent turned away and the coast was clear. He slunk across the floor, and quietly climbed the leg of a certain chair. He knew Hinata was not ticklish. He crawled up her yukata, and behind her hand, tightly gripping the cloth. He felt the muscles in her wrist clench, but she betrayed no other reaction. The kunoichi shifted her arm slightly, so she could get a look at the intruder. Her eyes shifted to the rodent, who met her gaze unflinchingly. Ice blue orbs stared back at her, familiar. Naruto? She mouthed soundlessly. The tiny animal nodded. Scouting ? She enunciated carefully, so he could read her lips. He nodded again. Do you have a plan ? But this time he shook his head. No. Did you find the others ? He nodded, shook his head, then shrugged. She looked confused, and the mouse form did its best pantomime of the shadow clone jutsu. Oh. More than one of you. The copy bobbed its head once. Do you have any ideas ? Naruto shrugged, then winked at her, and gave her the rodent's best approximation of his crooked, goofy grin. Hey. One of the criminals turned towards Hinata. What are you mumbling over there ? Hinata's face assumed an expression of terror, and she began to rhythmically chant, "This can't be real. This can't be real." Admiring the girl's ingenuity, the clone dismissed himself. Good move, Hinata, the real Naruto whispered as the clone's memories flowed into him. Okay. He looked up at Nyoko, his expression fierce. Now that I know the score, it's time to crash this party. So you found everyone ? Yeah. He balanced out the memories sifting through his mind. Everyone from the Land of Fire is in the dining room, with 22 of the bandits and their boss, plus Kaidi. Why Kaidi ? The princess was surprised, worried, and annoyed, all at once. I don't know, he lied, then quickly continued, the other 5 keys are being held individually, the Land of Water CL in the gift shop. The rest are split between the first and third floor hallways in both of the hotel wings. Each CL has 4 guards. And the hotel's real staff is in the kitchen with 7 guards. Plus, there are 8 or 10 additional mercenaries wandering the halls. Let's go, he said. Let's ? As in both of us ? Nyoko was surprised. I don't think it would be smart to leave you out here alone. You could leave me some shadow clones. Despite her previous confidence, she was less than eager to follow him into danger. Shadow clones are meant for offense, not defense, he told her. If there are any reinforcements in the woods, or some of them escape, I might as well just hand you over to them. Well, then, stay here with me, she pleaded, just send in your copies, let them do the job. I can't. I have to be there, in case something goes wrong. If all my clones are offed, I would be back to square one, and I'd lose the element of surprise. He looked at her frightened face, and was mentally torn. He decided to push the issue. We could do nothing. Stay out here, and leave it to my friends. I can try to find some way to get Iruka-sensei what I've learned, so they can save as many lives as possible, she finished with a sigh. You think I'm being selfish? No, I think you're scared. And in a lot of ways, you are right. If I could think of any way to leave you here safely, and launch the attack, I would go in alone. He exhaled, but I can't think of any way. So, I'll leave it up to you. We can stay out here, and leave it to the others. Or we can go in, try to help. For 3 long seconds, she didn't bother to hide her turmoil. All right, her face hardened, and she tightened her grip around the kunai. I'll trust in you. One last thing, Naruto stared at her intently, you cannot say anything. If I ask you a question, nod or shake your head. Any other noise you make I can cover up, but not speech. Got it ? She opened her mouth, then smiled ruefully, and nodded her head, yes. Okay, let's go. Yugao-sensei, Hinata continued to rock back and forth, staring at the floor. But as soon as the kidnappers became disinterested in her feigned terror, she changed her chant to normal speech. The Jonin's eyes shifted, and she made quick gesture to indicate she was listening. Naruto was here, the girl whispered, scouting. What did he tell you ? He couldn't speak. And he had clones running all over the place. The former Anbu hid her realization, and mouthed, the rat ? Yes, Hinata affirmed, he's going to try something, we need to be ready. And Nyoko ? The purple-dressed kunoichi pressed. I didn't have a chance to ask, before they noticed me talking, the Byakugan wielder was chagrined at her lapse. I hope he doesn't do anything too stupid, the female leader worried. This is Naruto, Shikamaru had been listening too, and his comment was both snide and dubious. The real Naruto moved slightly ahead, while a single shadow clone remained with Nyoko, just over 2 meters back. They lead her to the same door his scouts had previously entered. We're heading to the kitchen first, he explained, to free the staff and get some equipment. When they reached the destination, the duplicate lead Nyoko into a locker room. "We can't let them see you," the copy explained. She frowned at him, and shrugged in confusion. "I recognize 8 of the kidnappers as being members of the hotel staff. There could be more, still hiding." She nodded her agreement. "By the way," Naruto's double looked her up and down, "I think you should change into one of the waiter's uniforms. For freedom of movement." The princess nodded, full aware her yukata was hardly designed for physical activity. Then she puffed up her cheeks, and stared at him angrily. "What ? He hissed. She glared at him, and spun her finger around. "You want me to turn around ? She nodded. The clone dutifully complied, mumbling, 20 minutes ago, she was trying to seduce me, now she doesn't want me to see her undress, in annoyance. The real Naruto was thankfully unaware of any of this. When he reached the kitchen, he carefully used the polished edge of his blue-accented kunai to peer around the corner. He quickly memorized the locations of the bored-looking mercenaries. After he had learned the placement of his enemies, he snaked his hand around the corner and turned off the lights. "What the?" The angry comment was cut off by the proclamation, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." And the cacophony of fist and metal striking flesh. Naruto flicked the light switch, revealing a room crowded by duplicates. Each criminal had his or her mouth covered by at least one clone. The most of the copies exploded, and all of the bandits fell to the floor, dead or unconscious. Even that small amount of blood caused one of the busboys to nearly vomit. Naruto and the remaining clones freed the employees. "Follow them, they will take you outside," he ordered, and the workers complied as quickly and quietly as they could. As they left, Naruto searched the villains for weapons, and also for communications devices. He found no radios, cell phones, or even walkie-talkies. The blonde shinobi realized that was part of the reason for the rovers, to pee messages. He took 4 of the daggers that were in the best shape, and dumped the remaining implements into the ovens, setting them to the highest heat. Finally, the Kyuubi's host unceremoniously tossed the bodies, living or not, into the freezer. Once the hotel staff was clear, one of the 4 clones dissipated to let Naruto know, and Nyoko and her guardian joined him. He handed one of the purloined blades to the duplicate, and offered Nyoko a butcher's cleaver and a cast-iron frying pan. She looked at him in confusion, and then pointed to the kunai he had lent her. "That's backup. A last resort of last resorts. Besides, with these and that uniform, you might be able to pee as a staff member." She frowned in confusion, and pointed at her face. "Yeah, they probably know what you look like. But if we get separated, and you are caught, well, anything you can do to buy time or give yourself an opening to attack." Nyoko pursed her lips, and nodded. She wrapped the kunai in a towel, stuck it in her pants pocket, and took the tools. Naruto then created another set of 10 clones. These copies morphed into rodents again, and scattered. "Look out," he explained at her questioning gaze, "in case someone catches on. Come on, we need to keep moving." The trio headed towards the west wing. Along the way, Naruto eliminated 2 of the floaters, carefully hiding the bodies. On the first floor, the ninja and his clones defeated crooks, although not fast enough to prevent one of the Land of Earth students from suffering a minor injury when one of the bandits tried to use the teen as a human shield. The bandits in the ballroom were enjoying themselves, taunting some of the students. Though it galled most of the shinobi to just sit by, they did so nevertheless. Just when Choji had reached his breaking point, Bungiro suddenly stood, staring at the door. "What is it, boss ? The giant with the mohawk asked, suddenly leaving his prey behind. "Kenji is late," the rogue ninja growled. "Maybe he had to use the bathroom ? Or some of the kids got uppity ? Perhaps," the leader sounded dubious, "if he does not appear shortly, you will be going to find him. And if he is slacking off." The bandits shuddered. And unseen outside the door, a rodent ceased to exist in a puff of smoke. Damn it, Naruto had met up with Nyoko and the clone again, and they were starting to head to the 3rd floor. He froze suddenly, with an annoyed and slightly fearful look. In her confusion, the princess almost broke her promise, and asked, "What ? But she just managed to keep the word from forming. The blonde shinobi recognized her intent, and answered the question anyway. "Their boss said one of the roamers was supposed to report in," Naruto explained quietly, "and if the guy doesn't show up, he's going to send out a search party." "Nyoko," He looked at her, and asked, "Do you trust me?" She was frightened by his intensity, but she forced herself to nod, yes. Okay. The door to the modified dining room opened, and the bandits turned, expecting to see their missing comrade. Instead, they saw a tall youth, with blonde, spiky hair. The teen was holding their target tightly around the waist with one arm, and held a butcher's knife to her throat with the other. "Let my friends go now," he shouted, "or you lose the princess." "Naruto!" Iruka yelled, "What the hell are you doing?" She tried to run away. She was just going to leave you guys at their mercy. "You idiot, do you know how much trouble you are in?" One Nyoko's teachers asked. "They won't off her, they need her alive to get whatever it is they want," the teen countered. "The same doesn't apply to the rest of us." This pronouncement jarred many of the students, and one of the girls burst into tears. "How did you get in here?" Bungiro asked in a sinister tone. Naruto looked nervous. "The west side delivery door. We had to sneak past some guys playing dice." The villain masked his annoyance. "And what do you propose?" "You let my friends go, I give you the girl," he stated. "That simple." "That simple?" "And what about the other students?" he asked, deviously. "Oh." Naruto appeared surprised by the question. Them too. "Instead, what if I give you one of your friends for the girl?" "What?" No. The teen tried to sound forceful. "All of them. I would have to be a fool to release all of your friends," the villain exhaled roughly, as if laughing. "You would still have all the other students," he offered. "Let my friends go as a show of trust, and then trade the girl for all the rest." Or, the rogue stood, loosening his giant sword in its sheath. "I could end this charade, off you now, and just take the wench." Naruto closed his eyes, and when he opened them, his feigned fear and uncertainty were gone. "You're right, it's time to end this charade." Naruto released the girl, who drew a number of daggers and knives from under her apron. With surprising precision, she threw one blade, hilt first, at each of the Konoha shinobi. Naruto's allies caught the weapons easily. Nyoko shot the criminal a familiar smirk, and then disappeared in a puff of smoke. "A shadow clone?" One of the bandits reacted. "He's a ninja." "You idiot, they're all ninja." Another of the kidnappers panicked, and ran for the door. But Lee was quicker, and the deserter fell. Acting in unison, the Ino Shikacho team herded the hostages into one of the corners. "Naruto, the other students?" Yugao asked. "My clones freed them all. They're safe. Only a few minor injuries." "And Nyoko?" Sakura prompted. "She's okay. She's with the two best bodyguards I could conjure." "And then this idiot asked when we were going to get snacks," Gamakichi told her. Nyoko stifled a giggle. "Lay off, I was only 6 months old," the light-colored toad grumbled. "So was I," the redder amphibian pointed out. Nyoko was in the lobby with the two summoned toads, each the size of a large pony. Surrounded them were 6 alert Naruto duplicates. "Is it true the Aunt Tsunade used Gamabunta's sword?" she asked. "Remember me?" Naruto tapped the giant on the shoulder. "I'll off you runt." The crook started to turn to confront the younger warrior. "I am Master Bunjiro's strongest apprentice. Rasengan." As his opponent faced him, Naruto thrust the roiling sphere into his midsection. The big man shot away from the genin, spiraling head over foot, until he crashed hard into the wall. The villainous lieutenant slid to the ground, and did not stand again. With all of his men defeated, Bunjiro faced the Konoha shinobi. He panned his eyes across them, and then erupted in a sardonic laugh. He pulled his sword, scabbard and all, over his shoulder, and held it ready to draw, all but taunting the leaf ninja. Not one of them blinked, flinched, or faltered in any way. Finally, the villain made his move. "Please don't off me," he begged, throwing down his sword, and dropping to his knees. The Chunin all displayed obvious shock, and Naruto nearly fell over. Only the Jonin remained ready, expecting treachery. But the hidden mist renegade started sobbing in fear. Naruto collected their enemy's weapon. He drew the sword part way from its sheath. The edge was chipped and rusted. "This is the legendary Suhi?" The blonde youth asked in confusion and dismay. "No," Kaidi stated, after Tenten freed her, "and that is not Bunjiro Egareru." She grabbed the whimpering man, and demanded, "Who are you?" As her words sank in, the would-be kidnapper's face seemed to melt. Bungiro Egereru ? He rambled, "You thought I was ? If he ever finds out, he'll off me. Please don't tell him. Your name?" Kaidi seemed torn between anger and pity. I'm Bungiro Akaikazunoko, he said quickly. Kaidi dropped him and produced her copy of the bingo book. After flipping through the list of criminals, she let out a sigh. Bungiro Akaikazunoko, rogue ninja from Kirigakure, she read out loud, rank Genin. After barely pinging the graduation exam on his 7th attempt, Akaikazunoko was caught shoplifting a pack of cigarettes, and fled the village. Considered a D-rank criminal deviant. What ? Naruto shouted angrily, after all that, this guy's just some small fry ? He rounded on Kaidi, you said he was one of those bent swords. Our intel said a dangerous criminal named Bungiro, with a two-handed sword, was gathering a small army. We never thought to check any other Bunjiros, she shrugged in defeat, he did try to ransom your princess. And a rogue is a rogue. Though I'm sure the Mizukage will be disappointed. No, I won't go back. The thief rose to his feet, aiming a kukri dagger at Kaidi's chest. She effortlessly disarmed him, and then knocked him unconscious with a single uppercut. She groaned in annoyance, and retrieved the ninja manacles. She tightened them severely around his wrists, then turned to face her allies. So much as I'd like to hang around, I really need to get back. The Mist Huntress lifted her prisoner with ease. My people need to know that Egereru is still out there. And I can't wait to get rid of this worm. Yugao, it was almost as much fun as last time. She gave the former Anbu member a two-fingered salute. Deciding she did not want to carry him, she dropped Bundro to the ground and dragged him towards the door. As she exited, she looked back and offered, and I'll be seeing you in a few weeks, Naruto. Why? He stuttered at her abrupt statement. Well, the Hidden Mist Village is hosting the Chunin exams next month. I would assume you're tired of being behind the rest of your friends. Before he could retort, she was gone. Though both Nyoko's CL and the Land of Water CL stayed until morning, the other 5 schools quickly packed and left. And as soon as the sun crested the horizon, Kaidi's group loaded their bus and drove off. Except for Nyoko, the remaining Land of Fire civilians were also ready to quit the resort, but their transportation, and the additional guards with it, had not returned. The 2 Jonin stayed with them, giving the princess and the teen warriors one last day to play. But the day went by far too fast, and by mid-afternoon, a quartet of very large guards escorted Nyoko to their bus. They did not even give her time to change out of her bikini. Naruto, the princess opened her window, think about my offer. What offer ? Sakura's voice was dangerous as the bus pulled away. She asked me to be her personal bodyguard ? You're lying, Naruto. The redhead was half annoyed, half amused. What did she offer you ? After dinner, Naruto slipped away. When Hinata noticed he was missing, she went to find him. It did not take her long. The normally hyper Genin was sitting on the beach, staring up at the stars. May I join you ? She asked quietly. Oh. Hi Hinata. He looked over at her, startled, sure. She did not sit down, but stood next to him. What's wrong ? She asked. Not wrong, he said. I was just thinking, tomorrow we go home. My first vacation is almost over. And how was it ? Well, I don't really have anything to compare to, he considered, but I had a lot of fun and got to try all kinds of beach sports. How about you ? Did you get to do everything you wanted to ? She paused for a second, and then answered honestly, mostly. Though I had been hoping to watch the meteor shower with you. Naruto grinned apologetically, then brightened, well, they may not be falling, we can look at these stars together. She was surprised by his offer, and her reaction in turn made him nervous. Come on, sit down, he said gently. The kunoichi nodded, and slowly descended to the sand. With deliberate precision, she accidentally put her hand over his. This time he did not pull away. Instead, he shuffled hands so their fingers were intertwined. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.